So before we look at today's video, I just wanted to show everybody Casper. If you're new to the channel, you will not have seen Casper before. If you've been around a little while, you would have seen Casper kind of very shortly after we got him. And I've had so many requests saying, "Where's the cat? Show us the cat. We want the cat." And we got Casper as a companion to Rocket. We sadly lost Rocket, and we've got you now, haven't we? He is what are you? A ragdoll cross Siamese, and he's quite the homewrecker. I don't mean like relationship-wise. I mean he ruins anything that's worth any money. But he's quite the joy, aren't you? It's quite the joy. But anyway, that is Casper, and that was just a quick show of Casper. Now he's got a little bit bigger, a little bit more fluffy, and yeah, let's get on to today's video. Oh, how is everyone? I hope you're all well. Now it would appear that law enforcement, the authorities, the people who we entrust to get to the absolute truth and bottom in these cases, they may have already drawn their conclusion around the Kiely Rodni case. And look, this is speculation based on information, and we could be completely wrong. But this is what we've got so far. So Plunder, there will be a link in the description of this video, so you can head over there. She reached out to both Placer and to Nevada regarding the reports, findings, conclusions of the Kiely Rodni case. And although Placer gave us some information, they weren't willing to give certain bits of information because it's an ongoing investigation. Nevada were a lot more open and have basically said, look, everything should be ready, everything should be coming out on the 1st of November. Now that gives us just under 2 months for everything to be sort of put forward. But what does it mean? Because what you've got to think to yourself is, if this was a criminal investigation and there were things to go through in terms of that, like arresting people, interviewing people, gathering evidence, getting witnesses, perhaps going through phone records, etc., etc. Now, would there be enough time? Would there be enough time? This time frame of kind of 8 to 10 weeks falls in line with other cases that have just been tragic accidents. Again, Plunder does mention a specific case in there, and that time frame kind of falls perfectly in line with that. And this is another case there was a lot of speculation around, and the same thing that we're seeing with the Kiely Rodni case, but it was simply concluded that it was indeed an accident. Now I don't know what people are going to feel about that, because with what we know so far, you kind of think to yourself, well, how on earth could you now conclude that it is an accident unless some of the information that we have is not as it seems, like the tow truck driver and his situation, stating that he saw Kiely on the Saturday morning, that's Kiely's vehicle, around 11 a.m. the following morning. Now, don't get me wrong, it could still be concluded that this was an accident, that Kiely did indeed end up in the water, but not just when we thought she did. There doesn't have to be a specific time frame. There doesn't have to be some restraint that says, well, for this to be an accident, it had to be between the hours of 12:33 and 1:33 a.m. or there's it doesn't work that way. All we know is Kiely went to a party and her phone went off. We could think that it was turned off. We could think that someone turned it off and threw it in the reservoir. We could think that it run out of batteries. We can think whatever we want, and lots of different people have lots of different thoughts. But ultimately, it does raise the question as to, was this the vehicle then? Did the tow truck driver, was it another person? And this was just something completely unrelated, like some of the other pictures that we've seen thrown into the mix, stating that they're Kiely when they're not. It happens. The vehicle that Kiely had was it wasn't out of the ordinary. The colour was very normal. The Honda CR-V is a very, very, I don't like using the word popular because I don't particularly like them, but they're obviously they are popular because loads of people buy them. Common, is that the right word? They're a common vehicle and it's a common colour. So indeed, it doesn't mean that it was indeed Kiely's vehicle. And maybe that's the point. Maybe we've already heard that the male who was in that scenario has been ID'd. Well, we haven't heard of any arrests, which, if there had have been an arrest, I'm sure that we'd have heard something. We heard that shortly after Kiely went missing, it was all about was she abducted? There was a guy who was arrested and it was publicised immediately. We all knew about it. So there doesn't seem to be any movement from a law enforcement perspective around the tow truck driver and that situation. So all we can do is speculate. But yeah, it would appear the paperwork is all being done. The way I read it and listen to it, it does seem that it's just a dot the I's and cross the T's situation. And maybe the family already knows. We've seen recently that the family are having a kind of how did they word it? Kind of a celebration of life. And we've seen the likes of Jagger, who has stated that Kiely was simply driving drunk on a steep embankment and it could have happened to anyone. Maybe the family and maybe those close, the inner circle, have got information that we don't know. Ultimately they would obviously be the first people to know. We have to respect they're the family. We can't begrudge them information of that kind of importance. And I can only think that if that is what it's been concluded, then why would they not tell the family immediately? They might just advise them not to go public with that information. But there we go. I don't know what you guys are thinking. There's going to be a lot of people who think, well, with what we know, there's a lot of questions. But are we just reading into it too much? Is that what happens? Our critical minds are wanting to delve into these cases and discuss them, to look at them, to try and find something that we think will be the big break in the case. Does that just make us ultra sensitive to every single element of information? Is that what it is? Tell me down below what you think. Even if they came out on the 1st of November and said, we have concluded that this was a tragic accident. Kiely had been drinking and she drove and ended up in the water. How would you feel about it? Would that truly give you the resolve, and would you be happy then to walk away? Would you be happy to walk away with the unanswered questions? With the uncertainty, the fact that Adventures with Purpose, Nick, when he came up from seeing the vehicle, saying where Kiely had, would you be able to accept then that Kiely had indeed got into that compartment just by moving through the water or climbing in there herself? Would you accept that, this tow truck situation was indeed something completely unrelated? Would you believe that nothing and nobody had anything to do with Kiely going into the water? She just decided, despite being offered lifts, that she wouldn't take them, and she would indeed, as a smart girl, decide that she was okay to drive and end up driving into the water. Would you accept that the statements made by friends such as, again, Jagger, saying that I hope you found the peace that you so sought, or Anna, her other friend on Twitter, who said that she's happy that she's no longer in pain, would you be happy just to forget and ignore all of these strange statements that may just show that there was a little bit more happening in Kiely's life and there could have been a little bit more to it? Because in a few weeks' time, it's likely that you're going to have to make that decision, and that is whether you want to accept what you're being told or you want more answers. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.